Welcome to another episode of The Hustle Never Sleeps. By now, I'm pretty sure you're quite familiar with it. It's just basically a weekly series detailing people's pursuit of their passions. Now, today we are in Cape Town CBD at the Net Space, or Creative Nestlings, and I have the absolute honor of sitting with somebody that I say is one of the most inspiring ladies in my life. It of course, is August, which is Women's Month, so I've chosen 5 women to celebrate over the next couple of weeks, and I know that you've not only inspired me, but of course been an influence to so many people the world over. I, of course, am with interdisciplinary artist Laura Windvogel. Did I get that right?
It's a mouthful, but it's like...
I got it almost
It's
there.
a thrill, right?
It's a
That's
thrill
the
to
only
say
reason
it.
I learned how to do it.
From like a 5-year-old you trying to pronounce this.
Me, interdisciplinary practice artist.
You gotta get it right. She's a visual artist. She's also created a Zine and has a podcast called Kiss and Tell. And today we're gonna do exactly that. Maybe not kiss, but definitely tell the story of her journey. Welcome, Lady Skollie,
Thank
aka
you
Laura.
so much.
What do you prefer going by when you talk to people?
I actually prefer people just shouting randomly in the street like, Skollie! And then I'm like,
That's me.
Me? No, but seriously, yes, most people just call me Skollie, and my parents call me Laura.
Of course. I can't imagine your mom going, Skollie, come and do these things for me.
Exactly.
I do want to know, though, growing up in the Windvogel household,
Yes.
what was that like for you? Do you feel like your creativity was sort of laid down, the foundations of it?
My mother made provisions for the situation she found herself in.
Yeah.
So definitely, yes, they tended a lot to, they really tailor-made certain things. If they couldn't provide artistic guidance or didn't know how to take it further, they sent me to extracurricular art schools and my sister to music school.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was actually quite a traditional upbringing. And I think that plays into my whole being raw and being a rebel and telling it like it is kind of bullshit, because obviously my mother being quite conservative in ways makes you want to rebel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to church.
Didn't we all growing up?
I was in confirmation, you know, all of those things. But yeah, it was interesting. They put emphasis on interesting things.
Yeah. I love that you use the word interesting. I feel like that's the blanket term when we're trying to cover up some things there.
It's more like we weren't allowed to watch Footballers' Wives, which is
Sure.
my favorite.
Yeah.
But we were allowed to read Dinge van 'n Kind, you know, which is basically pornography, but in a book.
Yeah.
So it was funny. We had certain freedoms in certain ways, if it was in a certain medium.
Yeah.
So I
and
guess
in Afrikaans.
my mother's Afrikaans teacher. I can't help.
My Afrikaans is terrible, so I'm going to steer away from that topic. Listen, so fast forwarding a couple of years later, forming into your artistic side of things, how exactly did you step into the art world?
I've never not been in it, or never not wanted to be in it, or thought I was meant for something else. I've always wanted to be an artist. I went to a very staunch Afrikaner white school that really didn't promote arts in a certain way. Like they didn't even have an art class in the high school. And so I used to go to this school called Frank Joubert because my mother sent me there because she thought, you know, Laura's doing pretty good, so maybe we should send her to a cool school. Yeah. And I went there and I knew from then on. But I also knew I didn't want to be that specific artist of just, you know, making things and being tortured.
Yes. So what kind of artist did you see yourself as back then? Going into your artistic career, if not the artist that you speak of, the tortured one?
Well, I went to a fine art school and then it kind of made me feel like I wasn't good enough.
Okay.
And so I dropped out. There's actually a very funny story. So like a lecturer told me that the way I drew hands made her want to vomit in her own mouth. And she told that to me.
Is this quote unquote?
Quote unquote. Also, it's not the worst. She said, they look like dolphins. And I was like,
interesting that you see dolphins
my
out
parents
of
paid a fee. You just see a job. You know what I mean? But but then, so for me, I had post-traumatic stress. Like I was like, I'm not going to be an artist, this. And so I left, but I always knew that's what I actually wanted to be. But I think when I realized I didn't fit into the conventional fine art school, I knew that I wanted my own version. And my own version is to be a rock star. My own version is to want to I want to be famous,
Yeah.
but I also want to be an artist and like say things worth listening to, you know?
Of course. And I don't think those two are mutually exclusive, right? You're doing them very well together, I would say. So where did the Lady Skollie, can I call it a persona?
Yeah.
Where did the Lady Skollie persona come
I like calling it a pseudonym,
Ooh,
but only
I like
because
that.
I like that
The
it's hard to
word.
spell.
Yes.
You know,
love that.
Petty, bruh.
So where did Lady Skollie, the pseudonym, come from?
I think like most people who want to be relevant and stuff, like I've gone through a lot of transformations.
Yeah.
Like some people don't recognize me from Laura from
A couple years back?
maybe 3 years ago.
Sure, okay.
But I had like long corkscrew curls.
Like this?
Yeah, but like even tighter.
Even tighter?
Almost like that little Bo Peep kind of shit.
Oh.
Yeah, one day I'll do a Throwback Thursday that's gonna kill the game. But yeah, I had these corkscrew curls and I had like lots of dresses. I had something like 109 dresses that I compulsively collected.
Sure.
So it was very much a Nero Shirley temple, you
Yeah.
know? I don't even know, why did I start that story? Oh yes, the Lady Skollie.
Yes.
So obviously for me, it was the fact that at the time when I looked most like a lady, I was still a Skollie inside. Guys, I swear to you, I was always like this inside. The exterior might have changed, but
the
I was
Skollie is still there.
always a thug inside. Like it just took me a while
Yeah.
to understand how to get the balance. So I think it was about those, I love tension.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always about the tension between two things. And yeah, so I guess that's where Lady Skollie comes from.
Yeah. And in your art as well, you deal with binaries of gender and of
Yeah.
course going into sexuality and sex and human relationships,
I
which
grew
is
up with
often
a mother who
about
didn't
that.
understand, or she didn't make herself a space where she thought she could be both things. So she'd want to,
Okay.
1 week, she's like a master bread maker. Then the next week, she can now sew. But then she'll do it for like a week and then she's like, yo, it's boring, I'm done. So it was very much about like, she would take these like cliche
Roles.
woman roles
Yeah.
and then try to excel at it really well and then be anti it and then be like, oh, you know what, I'm a feminist anyway, so I'm anti. So it was like, we always called it selective feminism.
Okay.
I'm sorry, mom, mama, like,
Apologies.
for doing all of this, but it's the truth. And so
Yeah.
for me, it was about that conflicting ideas, the roles that we give ourselves. And very often we're angry about all these like women roles.
Yeah.
And then you realize the only person actually enforcing it sometimes is you.
Yeah, very often.
And so for me, it was about that.
And I love that you do that because in everyday, even though I'm wearing a very sheer shirt with a bra showing right now, I try to fight the roles. Yes, I try to fight those roles as well because
Yeah.
often, besides you stepping into them, they're often given to you, and
Yeah.
you got to fight back. Be
Yeah.
that protester that you spoke
It's like being
about.
at my grandma's house, and
Yeah.
then all my male cousins can sit, and then I'm 12 years older than them. Then I must be dishing them
Yes,
a huge like
I love it.
are you crazy? Actually, you know. So
How
yeah, it's
about I
about
sit and you dish me some curry, right?
exactly.
I like that better.
So it's about disrupting.
Yeah.
And it's about disrupting just those ideals that we, also as colored people, I think we take a lot of traditions and we just like, oh, now this is my tradition.
Yeah.
I think it's something of take what you love out of traditions and out of ritual, but also give your own contemporary spin to it and understand that the world is changing.
Yeah.
And we won't get stuck in all these weird patterns that actually just hold us back. Yeah.
And I love that you also, at some point, wrote or spoke about creating your own narratives, your own stories,
Yeah.
to therefore create your own realities. Because I
Yeah.
feel like that's so vitally important, right?
Yeah, we consume a lot. That's how society is. But I do consume more consciously. Like I understand, I try to see the good in everything. So I might listen to your song and be like, "This is dope." But I think we must also just try to curate our experiences and try to curate our own realities.
Yeah.
And in that way, everything else will follow.
Yeah, create your own world, basically.
Exactly.
So if you could give advice to somebody, maybe even a female in particular, seeing as you speaking from that experience, who also wants to pursue their journey,
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
In the artistic journey.
In whatever journey they want to follow, be it radio, be it art, be it engineering.
It's so like basic, but if you speak the truth, it always speaks the loudest. If you're going to try to do something that isn't authentic to who you are, then it's going to be silly. But at the same time, that feeds into knowing yourself.
Yeah.
So know yourself, and what you put out can only be good if it's the truth.
So thanks so much, Lady Skollie. It's such an honor having you here. You honestly are one of the biggest inspirations in terms of the women in South Africa for me. One of the 5 that I've literally handpicked to have sit next to me on The Hustle Never Sleeps.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
It was great to be on here. And this is Lady Skollie, also sometimes known as Laura Windvogel, with The Hustle Never Sleeps on Push with Carissa Cupido.
Aw, best outro ever.
You are to practice that.
This is Good Hope FM.
Turn the radios up.
Connecting Cape Town.
So thanks for watching another episode of The Hustle Never Sleep. This is the Women's Month edition. But if you're interested to catch any other previous episodes, remember to click right over here. And don't forget to subscribe to the Good Hope FM YouTube channel. Over to you.
So guys, I've got a podcast on iTunes, and if you want to check it out, you can subscribe, like, and share. It's called Kiss and Tell with Lady Skollie on Lalela Media. Also on ladyskollie.com.
Aw, could I get a kiss here?
Yo, that wasn't even real. I'm sorry.
That wasn't real.